I, Ka Shabangu, I do solemnly declare that I am a soldier of the South African Revolution, serving in Umkhonto with Sizwe. I place myself in the service of the people, the movement and its alliance. I promise to serve with discipline and dedication at all times, maintaining the integrity and solidarity of Umkhonto we Sizwe, the People's Army. Should I violate any of these, I accept that I should be punished by all means and not excluding death. A tooth for tooth, an eye for an eye, and life for life. With the spear of the nation, till victory or death, we shall win.
Thank you, Comrade Shaban. You may sit down, Comrade. Amanda! Comrade Andy Lekaba will do the credentials, comrades. Comrade Lekaba.
Amanda! Amanda! Thank you, comrade. Makabane, we started registration last Sunday, and the registration was built on the website that was dedicated for this event. Since Sunday to late yesterday, we had 650 comrades who registered online, coming from Lutuli, June 16th, Moncada, Sandlwane, and the rest of the detachments. We also have comrades represented from all the provinces who come from the detachments that I've mentioned. This morning, those comrades who have not registered online, we finished registering just around 320. The registration is still continuing. Online, we had following since the website was open by a number of MK cadres. Yesterday, it reached 21,000. We have amongst us all the people of Umkhonto we Sizwe who have trained in Algeria, in China, in Cuba, in Soviet Union, in Egypt, in Angola, in Barara, in Uganda, in Tanzania, and inside the country. And the GDR. Sorry, angfakanga mankerwana ngibone kahle. More importantly, at the back there, comrades, we also have SDUs. Hands to the SDUs that I am. We will be updating you, comrades, with all the numbers of comrades we are coming. And we still have few comrades that are on the way, and we will be registering them. Those who don't have the names, during tea time and lunchtime, we will finish up the registration. Please, we apologize that we couldn't finish some of you on time this morning. Thank you very much.
Comrades, Amanda! We will now have Comrade Dambuza, ne rules. Comrade Dambuza.
Amandla. Amandla. Fine. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, all the detachments. My responsibility is very short and direct. I'm here to introduce the rules of this council. What we did as the steering committee, we then adopted the rules and regulation according to how the ANC conducts itself in its conferences. Because I believe that, or we believe that all of us who are here are members of the ANC and Umkhonto. I'll then try to read the main items which must be of serious considerations. The normal rules of the ANC meeting proceed will apply, not the EFF. The normal rules of the ANC will apply. All delegates will have the right to speak in plenary. And all duly accredited delegates will have the right to speak in commissions. Delegates wishing to speak must indicate their intention by raising their delegation, detachment this time, or SDUs, whilst we are deliberating. So the amendments are going to be very, 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 very few. Delegates will be allowed to speak once during the plenary session on each topic. Each speaker will stand at the microphone provided on the floor and state his name or her name and the detachment. If a chairperson calls a speaker to order, the delegates will stop speaking and will not resume speaking until the chairperson have authorized him or her to do so, including singing. If the chairperson is chairing, don't sing as you so wish. He will give us permission to do so. Of course, the songs you are singing are all revolutionary. And that's what we used to be, jazz hour. Now the jazz hour, you know, is always controlled by the commander or the camp commander. You don't just start your song in the corner of the camp then start. On point of order being raised, a constructive one, by the way, discussion under the chairmanship shall be suspended to allow the intervention to take place. And this time, you know, I'm talking to soldiers here. There's only, if a chairperson is chairing, the way I know it is that militarily, you know, you always ask for permission to do what you want. You don't just stand up and start doing things like civilians. It's not allowed, okay? No business will be allowed to be discussed which does not arise out of the reports of motion before this council. delegates must refrain from any behavior or action which should bring this council into dispute. Any act or acts of sexual harassment will be very seriously military punishable. I don't know. I think I've done my best. Try to summarize the rules and regulation which all of you knows. For this council to be on schedule, let's keep time. All the detachment commanders, including myself, you must listen to them. Maybe in their own wish or willing, they will take each one of you become section commanders. And then if they call you to fall in, you must fall in. I would be surprised if they say fall in, you don't fall in. Then I would suspect you are a civilian. Thank you very much. Amandla.
Can we have silence, as the commander had said, immediately? Immediate silence. Comrades, can we switch off all cell phones or have them in silence, please? Now, we will have messages of support. Comrades, we will have, there's a message of support coming from Umama Winnie Matikizela Mandela, Nolalu Cheb Chiba. Comrade Tabane, can you come up, please?
Amandla, Matla, Matla, all power, long live the legacy of Umkhonto Sizwe, long live. Long live the legacy of Umkhonto Sizwe, long live. Long live the memory of Comrade Oliver Reginald Tambo, long live. Long live the memory of Comrade Joe Slovo, long live. Long live the memory of Comrade Chris Hani, long live. Long live the memory of Comrade Bani Mulokwane, long live. Long live the memory of Comrade Solomon Mahlangu, long live. Long live the memory of Comrade Mary Mini, long live. Comrades, thank you very much for the opportunity. Firstly, let me report that the first message of support is a sentiment that we must convey to this council, National Council, from the President of the ANC, Comrade Jacob Zuma, who, when we briefed him about this initiative, said we must convey his full support for this undertaking. But secondly, that we must convey his apology for non-attendance today because of prior commitments in the KZN today, a schedule that was worked out for him before we met with him. Thirdly, that in his view, it is his humble view that we must consider convening again next year, early in the year, to have a follow-up to this initiative that we have started. And that at that meeting, he hopes to bring the entire committee of the officials of the ANC to be in attendance. We have received the second message, comrades, as already indicated, from Comrade Winnie Mandela, and it reads as follows. It is an honor for me and great pride that I join millions of South Africans who have decided to stand up and throw their weight behind attempts to intervene to deal with issues, some of them destructive and affecting our organization at large. As a matter of fact, the MK Council was long overdue. I hope this great initiative will go down in the history as paving the way for a united front for this glorious army. It is the responsibility of our ex-combatants to keep the organization on check at all times for the smooth running of our organization so many gave up their lives for. The blood of our people was not spilled in vain. We must remember at all times that our Constitution was written in blood. I'm very sorry that my doctor felt I'm not well enough to attend, but my spirit is with you always. Revolutionary greetings. The third message comes from Comrade Lalo Chiba. It's a message sent to General Nyanda for this council, and it was recorded yesterday by Comrade Trish Shanekom, who visited him in hospital. I would like to congratulate you on having this conference taking place tomorrow. That was what he said yesterday. Unfortunately, I must apologize in all sincerity and humility for being unable to attend due to my health reasons. Comrade Kepuza, as far as I'm concerned, I feel very, very privileged and very honored that I have been invited to attend. I think it is an important conference, and I'm sure that important decisions will be taken there. Decisions that will have a positive bearing for the future. I wish you all the luck. Secondly, once again, it is the festive season, and I would like to take this opportunity to say, may the year that lies ahead bless you with good health, peace, harmony, prosperity, and all the wonderful things in life. Signed, Lalo Chiba. Thank you very much.
Comrades, can some few logistics be explained so that SABC Pina on this hall?
Again, comrades, where you registered, that's where the toilets are for both genders, just next to where you registered. Secondly, in the event of evacuation or any emergency, we will, of course, allow Umkhonto first to leave the room, and you see the signs written exit. The way to get out of this room is on the side where you come in, not this side. It's only this side. So we allow the leadership, and then we will ultimately all be out of this hall in the event of an emergency. Toilets next to where we registered, and then that's basically how we move out of this room in the event of emergency. Thank you.
Comrades, Sigaulas Wahuta, we will have a message from the veterans and the stalwarts, which will be done by Comrade Wali Sirota. Please.
Amandla, Mata, Amandla, Mata. Itolande present here, veterans and stalwarts, commanders, commissars, combatants of Umkhonto Sizwe, comrades, and ladies and gentlemen. The veterans and stalwarts of our movement, the ANC, who are signatories to the document called For the Sake of Our Future, which was presented to the President and the top 5 officials of the ANC, which outlines in detail the causes of the current crisis of our organization, welcome this initiative of all MK structures for organizing this Council of Combatants. We note and welcome the fact that this MK Council endorses the principle that it will be through a national consultative conference convened by the veterans and stalwarts, which will address the critical issues that would lead to the rebuilding and renewal of our movement and therefore also of our country. We recall that you volunteered to be members of Umkhonto Sizwe and that you were always ready throughout the protracted struggle to serve and to protect the people of our country and to lay down your lives for the freedom of our peoples. We further recall that all of us in all different formations of the ANC and Umkhonto Sizwe stood firm in fighting for non-racialism, non-sexism, democracy, and the prosperity of our country. We are aware that you understood and still understand, being members of our movement, that the liberation of our country, South Africa, would be a conscious contribution to wrench our continent, Africa, from slavery, colonialism, and imperialism to join progressive humankind in the world to make the world a better place to live in. We together must note that the entire continent and progressive humankind are looking forward to our movement to play its part and role in contributing to the quality of life of all peoples who must live in a better world, secured in peace and freedom. Viva the MK Council, viva! Viva, viva the National Consultative Conference, viva! Viva, viva the renewal of the African National Congress, the Veterans League, and the Alliance, viva! Viva. Amandla! Mata! Thanks, comrades. Thank you very much.
Comrades, I want to thank you so far. I think it's rather early, but I want to thank you all the same. I would want to request the members of the steering committee from all the provinces. Comrades, people that organize this are coming from all provinces, it's not just Gauteng. Umkhonto was formed in all provinces. So I would want them to stand up, members of the steering committee. Please, now. Mandla! Awulelanga lo mkhonto uguqe ngamadolo. Comrades, we are in the space where we've got to rescue this movement, comrades. This movement is in a bad space. This movement has got people that led it as the people that send the messages of support. I remember some people, when we went out, and we were the first detachment, we met some of the people abathukwayo ngabantu abafikayo emkhondweni, and we say nothing. They get insulted until Comrade Ron had to take up somebody to court. This is an internal matter. It's ill-disciplined, what is being done to the veterans by people who don't even belong to some detachment. I'm glad we are this disciplined. I've never seen the ANC conference this disciplined. It shows that J.B. Marx, when he said that you are the future of this ANC. First, you were taken, you were a politician before you became soldiers. That's what we were taken from branches, comrades. Let us not forget that. We are politicians. People in parliament, sometimes they think that you are just people who have AK. We are soldiers, we are politicians before we become soldiers. Comrades, right now, I'll call Peter Maibuya as we knew him. Now, we're Joel Netsitang. Hello! Kiatsufala. Yeah. So, the Chief of Staff yalo Umkhonto akasinyulanga wenyula sithi sonke. Awufaka ingoma lapho. Amanda! Oh!
Wenyamazani yolehla. Wenyamazani yolehla. Wenyamazani yolehla. Wenyamazani yolehla. Ihlale hlathi. Ihlale hlathi. Ihlale hlathi. We could go on, comrades, but we don't have time. We've got to save time. We started late. I'd like to first acknowledge members of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress who are here. And there are several of them, members of the NEC. Long live the ANC, long live! Long live! Long live the ANC, long live! Long live! I'd like to also acknowledge leaders of the South African Communist Party who are here. I saw the second Deputy Secretary General of the South African Communist Party, and I think we welcome him in our midst. Long live the South African Communist Party, long live! Long live. Viva SABC, viva! Viva! I would like to also think that we have got the support of COSATU as we meet here. I haven't seen anybody from COSATU. Long live COSATU, long live! Long live, long live COSATU, long live! Long live! I'd also like to apologize for one of the stalwarts of the organization, as I greet the stalwarts of the organization who are represented by 101, but some of them are representing themselves here. And they are stalwarts of the organization, long-serving members of this ANC. And the veterans of our organization. But mention that Comrade Andrew Mlangeni has sent his wishes as well, but he's in hospital in Cape Town and can't come and join us. Long live the stalwarts of the ANC, long live! Long live, long live the veterans of the ANC, long live! Long live. You heard during the credentials that we have the esteemed Luthuli detachment. I think we need to give each detachment recognition that it deserves from all of us. Long live the glorious Luthuli detachment, long live! Long live, long live the Luthuli detachment, long live! Long live, long live the June 16 detachment, long live! Long live, long live the June 16 detachment, long live! Long live, long live the Moncada detachment, long live! Long live, long live the Moncada detachment, long live! Long live, long live the Isandlwana detachment, long live! Long live, long live the Isandlwana detachment, long live! Long live. Madinocha. I have written it here, but I was trying to. We also welcome Madinocha. Now, long live Madinocha, long live! Long live, long live Madinocha, long live! Long live. And we have then the young lions. Long live the young lions, long live! Long live the young lions, long live! They are no longer young lions, they are just the young lion detachment. The Bani Mulukwana detachment. Long live the Bani Mulukwana detachment, long live! Long live the Bani Mulukwana detachment, long live! Comrades, you know that when we were operating, we trained people internally. We trained many people. They sustained guerrillas. They became ANC activists, the MK activists themselves. We now struggle to deal with this issue because some of them call them SDUs, some of them call them activists, underground activists, some of them call them activists of the forward machineries, but we'll just say, long live the underground of MK, long live! Long live, long live the underground of MK, long live! Long live. Thanks, comrades. I've been tasked with welcoming you and on behalf of the steering committee and explaining the rationale behind this council. And it's important that we do so. And also to outline the objectives, what we want to achieve. But just to explain why we decided upon calling such a council, because it's important to explain because we think we don't want to be misunderstood. We are Umkhonto Sizwe veterans, schooled in the ANC politics, and we never want to be understood. Everything we do needs to be understood, because everything we do has no hidden motive or no agenda, hidden agenda. As you know, there's been some controversy preceding this council. And some people have been instructed, who are members of Umkhonto Sizwe, not to attend this council. Because perhaps people think that we have got hidden motives or sinister motives behind this council. I know that some comrades from KZN have said that they were not going to come because this council is going to call for the removal of the president, to call on the president to step down. I know that the Secretary General of the ANC has said that he cannot comment because on this coming conference or council, because it is outside the structures of the ANC. So it's important to clarify ourselves. First of all, if you've heard all the sentiments that have been expressed so far, nobody has defined this gathering outside the ANC. Everybody who has spoken before me said this gathering they regard as part of the processes of the ANC. It's certainly, this gathering is not intended, at least from the steering committee point of view, we have not raised the issue of the president stepping down. And we are not here to discuss individuals. We're not here to discuss KB, we're not here to discuss the president, we're not here to discuss this or that person. We are here to discuss issues. And as Comrade Dambuza has said, we are going to discuss these issues in an orderly fashion, as disciplined former soldiers. And some of us are still serving soldiers here. So there will be no such thing as name calling. The songs that we sing will not be ribald songs or songs that insult anybody, and no insults directed at anyone. We had invited all members of the NEC who served in Umkhonto Sizwe. As I said, some of them are here. Comrade Jeff is here. Some of them were even part of the steering committee. And I reported, because I'm also part of 101, I reported when we met with the leadership of the ANC that we were organizing this thing. And the SG was aware of that we were organizing other formations to try to deal with things that confront us. We invited MKMVA leadership to this meeting. Through the office of Comrade Kebi. We invited the ANC Veterans League officials through the Secretary General of the ANC Veterans League. Of course, we invited the stalwarts who are here in their numbers. Now, if you see the transparency of our activities, it can be that anyone can ascribe ulterior or sinister motives to the gathering of such well-grounded cadres. It cannot be that anybody can do that. In this gathering are the products of Yusuf Dadu, of Jack and Ray Simons, of Mark Shope, Moses Mabita, Moses Kotani, Joe Slovo, Chris Hani, and many others. We may make mistakes politically, but collectively we can't go wrong. Because if we work as a collective, as we did, there's no way in which we can't correct ourselves. So we debated, and this initiative was thoroughly thought through. We gather here as military veterans of our erstwhile Liberation Army, Umkhonto Sizwe. We are going to discuss what affects us as military veterans of Umkhonto Sizwe and as members of the ANC. I'm aware that some may not be registered members, full card-carrying members of the African National Congress. And I told comrades who were asking this, who were some of them serving in the military, said, but we don't have cards. I said, no, this is a gathering of Umkhonto Sizwe veterans. And we invited everybody who is a veteran of Umkhonto Sizwe. But we're also going to discuss what affects the ANC. And there are three main objectives we have outlined for this council. The most important objective, in my view, we have not decided on the order of these things, is for the council to discuss the state of our organization, the African National Congress. The state of the ANC. What troubles the African National Congress? What afflicts it? Why is our performance seeming to dip? Why are people, our supporters, deserting the African National Congress? We're going to discuss the quality of our members, the quality of our branches, leadership. And these are some of the things that the president in the National General Council spoke about. He told us that many of these branches are owned by people, owned by regions, owned by provinces. And they are just tools, instruments in the hands of leaders to advance their own self-interests. We're not only going to diagnose, but also going to try, in fact, most importantly, to propose solutions. Why, how to take, what remedial action we need to take. And as far as I am concerned, even though we may be said to be acting outside the ANC, structures of the ANC, I don't think that is a bad thing. I think this is a very good thing that we are doing that. I don't think it's a bad thing. Now, Comrade Joel is going to give a political overview, analysis, and so on. I think it will give us a good canvas from which to reflect as we consider what is to be done. The NEC of the ANC has agreed on the need for a national consultative conference back-to-back with the policy conference. This ostensibly to be a culmination of the introspection and reflection and correction that needs to be undertaken. We need to debate here whether that will be useful, that proposal will be useful, whether it can help us. Perhaps we need to, because there are also the 101 veterans here who will try to impact on that discussion, to see whether we can't even bring it even closer than what 101 is suggesting. More to the left, nearer. The second issue, objective, is to discuss, that we need to do, is to discuss what is at the heart of many of the MK veterans, and it is the state of organization of MKMVA, of military veterans of Umkhonto Sizwe. And several issues affect military veterans. There might be issues, in fact, perhaps the dominant issue for many people is that of welfare. So comrades will be able to express themselves. Many comrades will feel an exclusion from MKMVA. Whether that inclusion is self-imposed or there is gatekeeping. Because I think a lot of it is self-imposed. We need to debate all those things. The organization of MKMVA, we know that today it is organized in accordance with branches. Are we going to have that persist and continue? We have always been organized as detachments. A conference of Umkhonto Sizwe needs to take that into account. Many others are going to discuss to concern themselves with what is happening in MKMVA today, the young people, the 30-year-olds who wear uniform. Interrogate that. And the uniform itself. The posture of MKMVA. The posture of MKMVA. It's supposed to be an association. It's projecting itself to be a political voice for all of us without consulting us or considering our views. Recently there's issue about medals and awards and honors, which people might want to talk about. Other comrades are interested in investments. What goes on? What happens to those investments for which MKMVA is responsible? The issue of, we have a department now at Polokwane, we decided on a department of military veterans has been set up. So we need to, some comrades will be discussing those things. We have a SABC, SAMVA, South African Military Veterans Association. All those things, we should be able to thoroughly discuss these issues and come up with recommendations, because this is not a conference, by the way. Discuss how they are processed in the proposed MKMVA conference that the Secretary General of the ANC has announced. Again, this is a good thing. I don't think there's anything bad or untoward or nefarious about this. It's a good thing. It is good for the ANC. There can't be anything wrong with it. The third objective or issue that other comrades feel even more strongly about than MKMVA is the issue of the ANC Veterans League. And the reasons for that The reasons for that are that it is a constitutional structure. MKMVA is not a constitutional structure. We said that sometimes MKMVA projects itself politically. In many instances, in fact, it projects itself more than the ANC Veterans League, and it should not be. Because the ANC Veterans League is the constitutional structure. And the other reason is because we perceive this ANC Veterans League as ineffective and perhaps exclusionary also. And also that exclusion may be because of ourselves. We're excluding ourselves from where we should be acting and impacting. Because the ANC Veterans League has got the same status in the ANC as the Youth League of the ANC, as the Women's League of the ANC, as a province. So it's something that those of us who qualify to be members of the ANC Veterans League must join that Veterans League in order to transform it. We need to reinforce it, reinvigorate it, reposition it as a mature embodiment of the history and culture of our organization. And it should be a political reservoir. We have the Luthuli detachment, who should all be part of the ANC Veterans League. We have many of the June 16 detachment. Certainly the front row here and the next two rows, who should be part of the ANC Veterans League. And Marinocha, khona badala kangaka baphuma late kangaka. And Marinocha. There is going to be an ANC Veterans League, which we have been fighting for, a league conference. And the ASG has announced this. We must go and swell the ranks of the ANC Veterans League in order to make it strong, in order to elect credible leadership. We'll be part of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress. So that it must not be said that we are just yapping and barking on the sidelines. We're not part of the structures of the African National Congress. These, broadly speaking, are the objectives of this council. We want to leave this gathering with a common understanding of our current conjuncture and the challenges which confront us, and how to position ourselves as veterans to help our movement to address them. Many people are beginning to lose faith in our movement. That is why we had this performance on August 3. This movement which helped bring about the downfall of apartheid and usher in democracy and hopes of a united, non-racial, non-sexist, and prosperous South Africa. Many, even our ranks, have begun to write its obituary. And this is painful and sad. We may disagree with their diagnosis about our imminent demise, but history is replete with examples of liberation movements who were deserted because of their conduct by the electorates and ended up biting the dust. We therefore cannot ignore the warning signs, especially of our recent elections. It is up to the African National Congress to arrest this decline in this road. It is up to, and it is incumbent upon us to help the ANC to do so. We may well be ignored. Our efforts may well be frustrated by those who have an interest in preserving the status quo. We know already that lobbying for this or that leader has begun. It has begun without due regard and reflection and introspection that has been urged and mooted in order to address the ills of our organization. It has begun without due regard to the harm it may inflict on the organization. It is history repeating itself with yet more tragic consequences for our movement. We do know as we speak that some leaders of some factions who want to preserve their influence and interests are mobilizing resources to subvert the internal democracy and to corrupt the branches of the African National Congress. We may therefore be ignored and our efforts may be resisted or subverted. And those who pursue a path that will lead us to ruin may prevail. If they do, the ANC will surely die. But let it not be said that the ANC died without us trying to keep it alive. And to resuscitate it, bring it back to its former state of glory. Let history record that we, veterans of Umkhonto Sizwe, tried to prevail, but failed. We have very little time to do that. Only a mere months. If the kinds of developments that are current now take place, in spite of our attempt at intervention, then the December 2017 elective conference will be no different from Mangaung. If we do not succeed, the dreams we dared to dream will become our nightmare. Those who died so that we may be free will have died in vain. And the hopes of our people for the bright future they had placed in our hands will turn to despair. And national agony will become the order of the day as political scavengers feed on the remnants of the Freedom Charter. I thank you.
Kwanyamazana yewaka kwanyamazana kwanyamazana yewaka ye freedom charter amanda. Comrades, sizawubiza uPeter Mayibuye azosinikeza azosihabulisa ngaphambili. Peter Mayibuye.
Amandla. Amandla. Apologies for cutting short the song. I think we're chasing time. And I should say it's quite intimidating to stand in front of Amachindra. And I think colleagues will agree, comrades will agree, that it's a gender-neutral term, Amachindra. I was talking to Brati earlier, General Ngwenya, and we were reminiscing about Novo Katenga, that he was a section commander, and I was his platoon commissar. And previously I had said to him, if you were my section commander and now you are a general, I think I should be a field marshal. And his response, I think, is quite relevant to the discussion that we're going to have today. It's not what you did many years ago, but how you performed since then and what you do today to ensure that you influence what is happening in the country. It's about social agency to protect the ANC and defend the revolution. I'm told that the media is present, and so I will somewhat edit some of the things that I was going to say, but I think the essence will come through. And I should also indicate that what I'm going to say will in part be my own views, but it also derives from processes that are taking place in the Political Education Subcommittee of the NEC, which is preparing a new strategy and tactics document. But it is also informed by a document that I hope all of us read in the build-up to the National General Council on the Balance of Forces. And so I will reflect on broad trends in the South African political economy, as well as in the ANC in the current phase. And many of us, I think, are tired of this question because wherever we go, even amongst ourselves, for those who know Latin, they will ask us, quo vadis South Africa, quo vadis ANC? Where to South Africa, where to the ANC? And the two questions are linked because the ANC does not exist for its own sake. It exists in order to lead the National Democratic Revolution to attain the National Democratic Society for which all of us aspire. And this question, whether the ANC and the country are on the right track, arises because there are a variety of developments, macroeconomic, macro-social, macro-political, and otherwise, which are subtracting from brand ANC. And of course, we need to be critical, but as we do so, we also need to remember that since 1994, massive progress has been made in changing the lives of our people for the better. There may be weaknesses, but the lives of our people have improved for the better. On the other hand, unbridled positivity and defensiveness can make us miss fundamental weaknesses, and thus would be unable to correct the systemic problems that face the movement. And so, quo vadis South Africa? I will start off just with a brief scene setting to make the point that, as we'll all remember, about 4 years ago, 2012, we adopted the National Development Plan with laudable targets for 2030, and all parties in Parliament then expressed their support for the NDP. In my view, to the extent that 1994 constituted, or 1994 and 96 constituted the forging of a social compact, or rather a political compact in South Africa, the adoption of the National Development Plan made it possible for us to move towards a social compact and, in our language, the second phase of the National Democratic Revolution. We might also be aware that after the elections in 2014, a medium-term strategic framework was adopted on the first steps to implement the NDP in the 5 years to 2019. The question, of course, does arise. Is the NDP being implemented? Is the MTSF being implemented? Of course, Comrade Jeff and others are doing their best, but I would say that the sense that one gets is that our leadership is consumed by other things, and therefore the jury is still out as to whether systematically we're implementing the National Development Plan. These issues also arose at last year's National General Council, and there was an inclusive process of self-reflection in the build-up to the National General Council. And many of us would be more or less happy with the resolutions that came out of the council, balance of forces, organizational issues, including the status of the Integrity Committee and so on. So yes, the right noises from the NGC. But there's been a legitimate criticism that some of these gatherings are starting to take the form, with apologies to Catholics who may be here, the form of confessionals. And so you sin for 6 days of the week. On the 7th day, you go and say, Father, I have sinned. And the Father forgives you. You emerge from there and sin again for 6 days of the week. What is encouraging, though, is that there is a new mood abroad within the ANC and the Alliance, and in broader society. It is correct and it is encouraging that the most sensitive of issues, including about corruption and state capture, are now surfacing in formal discussions, be it at the NEC, PECs, RECs, and so on, rather than just in the corridors. It's a first step towards correcting these issues. And one can also say that the December fiasco at National Treasury, what some of us now refer as 9/12, had its own silver lining. And what was that silver lining? Two of them, in fact. The first one, I think, was about a lesson in Economics 101 on the limits of political power in a small open economy. The second lesson, which has started to manifest in what has happened since then, is the need for social compacting. We might, all of us, have noticed government, business, the trade union movement, and others working together in order to avert a ratings downgrade, and even discussing issues about how we can raise the trajectory of our growth to a higher level. But having said this, the sense that one has is that there is an element of what the Greeks call hubris, a defiance of the gods, which can only result in what the Greeks call nemesis, which is self-destruction. From the strange things that are happening at SARS, in the Hawks, the NPA, Denel, and so on, a cabinet statement released by a minister which never was. All these tell us, in my view, that the beneficiaries of corruption and state capture will not give up without a fight. That we should internalize, because attached to that is the question, what should we do? The beneficiaries of state capture and corruption will not give up without a fight. Let me now just reflect on the electoral outcomes and their meaning for the ANC and the country. Starting off with the 2014 elections. In my view, one of the things that South Africa seems to have avoided is a case that has manifested in some countries in post-colonial Africa, and that is the entrenchment of ethnicity as the basis of self-image amongst the majority of the people. Whether we agree with them or not, one thing that we should celebrate is that the three largest parties in South Africa seem to have somewhat of a national footprint. And that is not a bad thing. Historically, before, I think up to, was it 2004, the third largest party in Inkatha had an ethnic footprint with dangers for the revolution as a whole. The second element from the 2014 elections is about what our Indian colleagues, comrades in the Indian Congress, call the fickleness of the middle class, which has resulted, as you know, in the routing of the Indian Congress in the last elections. In 2014, it started manifesting in the metros, where on aggregate, the ANC lost 10 percentage points of the votes. The DA gained 6.5 and EFF 11%. The third trend, which is something perhaps that can be celebrated, is that South African politics is shifting leftwards. The DA is trying to fish in a bigger pond amongst black people, and so they are compelled to come up with positions that would attract their attention. And of course, the emergence of the EFF, at least in terms of what they say, which might be different from what they do. All that is shifting South African politics leftwards. What about the local government elections? From there, as we all know, clearly the ANC is in steep decline. 65% 2006, 62 2011, and now 54%. And now it's not just the fickleness of the middle class. In fact, the biggest declines were in the Northwest first, Limpopo second, and I think Gauteng third. So even in the rural areas, we're starting to experience difficulties. Are the DA and EFF performing well and so stolen support from the ANC? The answer is no. And
All right, well, those were live visuals from Nasrec, where a group calling themselves the Concerned Military Veterans were holding a meeting in order to discuss the current challenges that are facing the ANC as a border organizations. The veterans took to the podium to express their sadness at the way the things have unfolded within the various party structures, and most of them call for unity among the party members and also call for immediate as well as stringent interventions in order to restore dignity as well as credibility to the ANC. They all call for more accountability at every structure, and that leaders needed to lead by example so as to avoid the erosion of party policies as well as ethics. Amalisha Jali, thank you so much for joining us. I'll see you again tomorrow morning.